I'm 37 years old now. If I tell you my blind date requirements, no one will introduce me to anyone anymore. Are my requirements too high?
你说说你的要求。
Tell me what your requirements are. First, the man's betrothal gift must be $25,000. Second, his monthly salary must be at least $2,800, and his parents must not live with us after marriage. Third, I want to bring my parents over after marriage. Fourth, the man's salary card must be handed over after marriage. Fifth, he should ideally be over 1.8 meters tall and under 40 years old. You are already 37 years old and haven't had trouble finding a partner yet you still list so many requirements. There are so many girls in their 20s. Wouldn't it be nice for them to marry a young, pretty woman? You should have some self-awareness. I discovered that the daughter is the mother's wishing well. My mother told me to find a husband with a $40,000 betrothal gift, 2 condos, one for me and another for her, and 2 cars, one for me and another for her. This man's family must be very happy. His parents should be happily together, a perfect family. He must be generous with his money, both for me and her. He can't have older brothers, but older sisters are allowed. However, my family is just an ordinary one, divorced and in debt. If I were to marry an older, leftover woman, I'd be better off remaining single for the rest of my life. Why do I say that? 4 reasons. First, they're too difficult to please. At 30 and still single, they must have had many suitors, but they refused. Second, most of them aren't destined to be princesses, but they have princess syndrome, wanting both money and a good reputation. Even if a good guy pursues them, they still fantasize about meeting someone better. I wouldn't bet on that. Third, if they didn't just expect men to be the only role to give, believing that men should pursue them, how could they still be single? Fourth, they're approaching menopause, so their moods are undoubtedly unstable. They will lose their temper at the slightest dissatisfaction, and some even break up outright. At many blind date events in Chinese cities, a strange scene is often seen. Numerous female participants, but very few men. At blind date corners in cities like Chengdu and Hangzhou and Nanjing, the gender imbalance has reached a shocking level. In the first-tier city of Shanghai, the male-to-female ratio in the dating market has exceeded 1 to 9, meaning 9 women are competing for 1 man. Earlier this year, the dating corner in Chengdu's People's Park was overcrowded with women. This forced the park to post a notice stating that the ladies needed in the blind date corner were full and registration was suspended. I finally understand why Shenzhen is called the city of leftover women. Most women in Shenzhen have requirements when looking for a partner as high as a wishing well. First and foremost, they want someone to be at least 1.7 meters tall, a non-smoker, a non-drinker, a non-gambler. Ideally, they should also own a condo, a car, and a stable high-paying job around $70,000 a year. Honestly, there are guys like this, but they're all married. Of course, everyone has their own requirements when looking for a partner, but they also need to be tailored to their circumstances. For example, if you're average looking for a tall, rich, and handsome guy, why would they choose you? Xiao Hong, a 33-year-old blogger living in Beijing, is an only child in the family. Her parents insist she find a live-in husband, but finding one is proving difficult. Seeing she's struggling to find a husband, her parents adjusted their criteria for a live-in husband. Let's hear what their criteria are. First and foremost, I'm not looking for a rich man. Ideally, a man with no house, no car, and no savings is the best choice. Why? The chances of a wealthy man choosing to be a live-in son-in-law are almost 0. Only a relatively poor man might choose to marry into the family. Ideally, he's dirt poor. The poorer the better. The poorer the better. Second, my parents also said they prefer a divorced man with children. I agree, mainly because I'm older, and if I can't have children in the future, I need to leave myself a way out. If I can't have children, I'll be relying on the man's children to take care of my family in my old age. Blogger Shenzhen Yangzhe is a matchmaker. An older single woman approached her and asked her to help introduce her to a man. This woman, born in 1986, is 39 years old and a full-time teacher with an annual salary of $28,000. She owns a condo and a car in Shenzhen, and her parents have pensions, so she has no retirement burden. She said she wants to find an unmarried man of equal status. The matchmaker wanted her to lower her standards, but she said she doesn't require a higher income than hers, but the gap can't be too large. She wants the condo and the car to be fully paid for, so they don't have to share the mortgage after marriage. Do you think a guy with these conditions is worse than you? If a man has a lower education than me and a lower income than me, and that's not even mentioning his parents, doesn't he seem much worse than me? A man between 38 and 40 living in Shenzhen with a fully paid for condo and car with these conditions, do you think he would choose you? If he really has these conditions, it's impossible to be single at 40. Let's assume there really is such a man. Why wouldn't he choose a woman in her 20s? Is it possible that he's in the same situation as me? When he was young, he just didn't want to compromise. When he was younger, he didn't settle for women in their 20s. So would he settle for a 38-year-old like you now? Do you really believe what you said? The matchmaker said if you simply want to get married and have children, then you can be selective about a man's height, look, emotional intelligence, and IQ. Just make sure they meet the required standards. Financially, don't be too demanding. A stable income and reliable character are all that's needed. If you value financial stability and want to provide your children with better material conditions without compromising your own living standards, you should be more relaxed about his marital history. Instead, consider choosing a man with a good financial situation, such as a divorced father with a daughter. Most unmarried women in their 20s and 30s won't choose a divorced father with children, so your chances of success are relatively high with this type of man. This morning, I saw a marriage advertisement that completely changed my perspective and my worldview. Listen, this is a non-local person living in Taiyuan City, born in 1988, with an annual income of $7,000. She doesn't own a condo or a car in Taiyuan. Listen, everyone, and she has no savings. But she wants someone with at least a postgraduate degree. She thinks anything less than that is too low. And the man's savings must be at least 7 figures, readily available. And she wants a bride price of $110,000 because she has 2 younger brothers to support, each of whom will be given $40,000. Sugar, a matchmaker in Shenyang City, received a client who was born in 1986 and was 39 years old. The client said she felt lonely seeing her friends all having their own families and hoped to have a child before she turned 40. She explained her situation and her requirements for a partner, but the matchmaker advised her to lower her standards, saying otherwise it would be difficult to find one. You also said you haven't found anyone. Why are you still single? Don't you know the reason? I just want someone with a fully paid for condo and car, and he is ambitious, responsible, and has high emotional intelligence. He can provide me with emotional value, so at least we can have a conversation. As for height, you see, I'm not short, so I don't think it's too much to ask him to be 1.75 meters tall, right? Also, I prefer him to be unmarried because I want to have a child myself. If he already has a child himself, he'll definitely feel uncomfortable seeing me being so nice to my child every day, and that would complicate the relationship. The matchmaker said, you said your requirements aren't high, but he needs to be over 1.75 meters tall in Shenyang, have a fully paid for condo and car, and an annual salary that's at least as high as yours, which should start at least $28,000. Such a guy would be at the top of the dating market anywhere. But you're already 39, your fertility, looks, and even your health are all declining, so why would someone choose you over a girl in her 20s? A woman's value is highest in her 20s, but it's different for men. Their prime years can be delayed for several years. Perhaps when he was young, he was too busy making money to find a partner. Now that he has a car and a home, finding a partner isn't that difficult. The matchmaker said, think about it again. Do you want to lower your standards? I've noticed many girls who earn $500 a month are looking for someone who makes $12,000 a month. They're always watching those domineering CEO dramas and become drawn into those stories. It would be fine if your parents were like Liu Yifei, right? The key is that we're just ordinary people. We couldn't be more ordinary. You come in and ask, find someone who makes $11,000 a month. I'm not in charge of making wishes, am I? How can I help you make your wish come true? With your values like that, how can you ever escape being single? I don't want a car or a condo. I just want a $42,000 betrothal gift deposited into my account. The woman who said this is a hotel receptionist born in 1988. She has a boyfriend with a PhD whose parents are from a rural area near Qingdao. After hearing the girl's demands, the man actually agreed. He promised her a $42,000 betrothal gift, saying they would buy a condo and a car after they got married. The girl, reflecting on her age as a born in 1988 person, reluctantly accepted the arrangement. However, the man made a few demands. Let's hear them and see if they are reasonable. First, if you break up within 5 years, you must return half of the betrothal gift. Second, you have to give my parents $280 per month for living expenses, because raising me is incredibly difficult for my parents, and supporting me through my doctoral studies is even more challenging. They don't have any pensions in the countryside, and their lives are insecure, so we absolutely have to provide them with living expenses. The girl was displeased by this request. She calculated that she would have to give her family $3,400 per year for living expenses alone. Wouldn't the betrothal money be returned entirely after a decade or so? The two of them remained deadlocked over this issue, neither willing to give in. Some netizens commented that honoring one's parents is a matter of course. As for how much to give each month, it depends on both parents' incomes. If the couple's incomes are high, $280 is fine, so give the man's parents $280 per month. However, if the couple's lives change over time, such as buying a condo, having children, or being laid off in China's current economic situation, they might not be able to give as much. Therefore, the specific amount can be adjusted over time, and parents will understand. From Jiangxi. Jiangxi girls tend to get higher bride prices. Yes. What do you think about this? Actually, I can't accept a man giving me too much, but you can't give zero. Giving is a sign of your heart. If you don't, that's just the custom in our area. But if it's too high, I don't think it's worth bankrupting someone. There's no point in selling all you have to get a wife, right? As long as we both like each other and the man's family values me, I feel respected, and that's fine. I understand. As for the number, is there a number you think is okay but not too high? Around $15,000, I think. Do you know why those older women are left alone? What are the criteria for older leftover men in finding a partner? If you're young and pretty, or even just one of those two, I can support you. Jobs, family, and education don't matter. So what are the criteria for older leftover women in finding a partner? If you're rich, have a car and a home, have a respectable job, or above average in appearance and height, have parents with pensions, and have a bachelor's degree or higher, then I can offer you a chance to be a lapdog. Then the men wonder, I haven't even taken good care of my parents, so why would I invite someone like one ancestor to be shrined? Are the ladies looking for a husband or making a wishful list? First, he should be quiet, but down to earth and kind. Second, he doesn't have a complicated social circle. Third, he doesn't smoke or gamble. Fourth, he's filial to both sets of parents. Are all the men who meet these 4 requirements married? I have a woman here who was born in 1998 and works as a homeschool teacher. She wants to find a man like the one described above, but many people say those requirements are just a wish. What do you think? If all else fails, I'll just marry a rich man. This line sounds familiar. But are there such rich men who are stupid, or have something wrong and are just there to take over for you? Many women consider rich men a backup option, which is really ridiculous. You may not know what the criteria for wealthy people choosing a partner are these days. In Chengdu, individuals with personal assets exceeding 10 million RMB, the requirements for a marriage partner are generally that good looks are just a threshold. They also need to graduate from a prestigious university and come from a middle-class or intellectual family, or be a graceful girl of noble birth with resources. The number of older women in Shanghai is estimated to have exceeded 1 million, 400,000 of whom are over 35. These women are likely to end up alone. Why? Because most of them meet the following criteria. First, they are not Shanghai natives. Second, their income is just enough to support themselves, but they cannot afford to buy a condo. Third, they have met many high-quality men, but have not been able to get into a marriage, and their quality of life requirements are still relatively high. This age group is really awkward. Good men will not choose women over 35, and men with average qualities are not attracted by older women. This situation is bound to make it difficult for them to find a partner. The Shanghai Population Development Report revealed a set of data. The number of unmarried women living in Shanghai has reached 2.09 million. Among women aged 25 to 34, the unmarried rate is as high as 41%, and the average age of first marriage has been delayed to 30. In Shanghai office buildings at 8:30 in the morning, a group of sophisticated women in high heels enter the workplace. At night, they immerse themselves in the music of Liu Jiazui's concert hall or sweat it out in a yoga studio. One netizen once did the math. Earning $4,000 a month and living alone in a one-bedroom apartment in the city center, she spends about 30% of her income on fitness, exhibitions, and travel. Marriage means sharing space with someone, catering to their tastes, and spending time with children on weekends, all of which takes not only money but also time and energy. Rather than being leftovers, these women are more likely to choose to be single. They have decent qualifications, master's degrees from top universities, work at top-tier hospitals or universities, earn over $20,000 a year, and some even own property. They've been on blind dates for years but haven't found their ideal partner. The problem isn't that no one wants to marry, but that they're unwilling to settle. A woman in her late 20s said bluntly, "I have such good qualities, I can't possibly find someone less attractive, right?" While this sounds reasonable, the reality is that men who meet her standards are either already married or prefer younger women. At a friend's party, a 32-year-old female lawyer and a 35-year-old male boss struck up a lively conversation. But after the party, the man quietly asked his friends, "Are there any women around 25? I'd still like to find someone who can stay home and take care of the kids." This misaligned set of values is common. The education and career that women have earned through decades of hard work are, in the eyes of some men, less valuable than youth and beauty. The internet is also quietly changing older women's expectations of their partners. TV dramas and short films are filled with tall, rich, and handsome men, leading them to mistakenly believe their ideal partner is within reach. They ignore the reality that most men are just ordinary people earning $1,400 a month, or even less, and commuting on the subway. They are caught in a dilemma, too high to succeed and too low to compromise. When looking down, those men with lower incomes are lacking a future. Looking up, those qualified men are turning their attention to younger women. That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with a friend. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.